Yes, Ravens flock. Things just got really interesting behind the scenes in Baltimore, and we need to talk about a move that has a lot of fans asking the same question. What exactly are the Ravens planning? We all know the wide receiver position has been one of the biggest talking points surrounding this team, and honestly, this latest decision has only created even more questions. I want nothing more than to see the Baltimore Ravens back in the Super Bowl, and I truly believe this roster has what it takes. But here's the big question. Why bring Chris Moore back now? Is this simply a move to add more depth during training camp, or could there be something bigger happening behind the scenes that we don't know about yet? I want to hear where you stand. Are you happy to see Chris Moore back in Baltimore, or were you hoping the Ravens would bring in someone else to strengthen the receiving core? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you've been a Baltimore Ravens fan for more than 15 years, hit that like button as hard as you can. If possible, comment, "Go Ravens! Let's go to the Super Bowl." Now, let's talk about why this move has everyone buzzing. Today was already an important day for the Baltimore Ravens because quarterbacks officially reported to training camp. Along with them, the rookies also arrived, as well as the injured veterans who continue working their way back. Naturally, all eyes were on the beginning of another important chapter for this football team, but the organization decided to make the day even busier by bringing several free agents into Owings Mills for workouts. The Ravens invited multiple wide receivers, including Sterling Shepard, Chris Moore, Dante Pettis, and Casey Washington. They also hosted offensive lineman Hakeem Adeniji and Jaron Christian, along with quarterback William Atkins. It was an active day, especially considering that many fans expected any wide receiver news to involve a much bigger headline. Instead, the Ravens reached an agreement with wide receiver Chris Moore. That immediately became the biggest talking point. Why Chris Moore? What exactly does he bring to this football team? If his name sounds familiar, that's because Ravens fans have seen him before. Chris Moore previously wore Baltimore colors and spent several seasons contributing to this organization. He was never expected to be the #1 receiver, and that was never his responsibility. His value came in a different way. Throughout his previous time with Baltimore, Moore built a reputation as someone who could stretch the field occasionally, contribute on offense when his number was called, and perhaps most importantly, help on special teams. He handled kick returns, gave the coaching staff another dependable option, and filled whatever role the team needed at the time. That versatility is something every NFL team appreciates. Still, even understanding his previous role, this signing leaves plenty of questions. When you look at Baltimore's current receiver room, the depth itself doesn't appear to be the biggest concern. Everyone already knows what Zay Flowers brings. He continues developing into one of the most exciting young receivers in football, and expectations remain incredibly high. Ravens fans hope he can become even more productive, especially inside the red zone, but there's very little doubt about his talent. He has already shown exactly why Baltimore invested in him. After Flowers, however, things become much less certain. Rashad Bateman remains one of the biggest question marks on the roster. Every offseason seems to include the same discussion. Is this finally going to be the year? Can Bateman finally put everything together over an entire season? Will he consistently perform at the level everyone expected when he entered the league? Some fans continue believing this is the season everything changes. Others have already started looking elsewhere. There's growing excitement surrounding Tylan Wallace because every opportunity he receives seems to result in another big play. His sample size may still be relatively small, but whenever the football comes his way, positive things tend to happen. Many supporters would love to see him receive a larger role and more consistent opportunities to prove himself over a full season. Then there are fans who are equally excited about younger receivers continuing to develop within the offense. That uncertainty near the top of the depth chart makes this signing feel unusual. Chris Moore isn't arriving to compete for the role of #1 receiver. He isn't expected to suddenly become the missing piece that solves every question surrounding Baltimore's passing game. So why now? One possibility immediately comes to mind. Could someone be dealing with an injury? The timing naturally creates speculation. On the very day quarterbacks, rookies, and injured veterans report to training camp, the Ravens suddenly hold multiple workouts and agree to bring back a veteran receiver they already know well. That could simply be coincidence. Nobody wants to assume the worst. Hopefully everyone is healthy. But it's impossible not to notice the timing. Another possibility sounds much more dramatic, but it still crosses people's minds. Could another receiver eventually be moved? At first, that idea seems unlikely. Nobody realistically expects Zay Flowers to go anywhere. The younger receivers still represent important pieces of the roster's future. That leaves Bateman as the name many fans continue discussing whenever trade conversations begin. There has been constant debate surrounding his future. Some believe he should remain in Baltimore. Others believe both sides might eventually benefit from a fresh start. Still, making a move like that right before training camp feels extremely unlikely, and there simply isn't enough information available to jump to that conclusion. Perhaps the answer is much simpler. Maybe the Ravens simply wanted another experienced player inside the building. Training camp is demanding. Young players benefit from learning alongside veterans who understand exactly what it takes to survive in the NFL. Chris Moore has done exactly that. He has carved out a long professional career despite never being viewed as a superstar. That alone deserves tremendous respect. The NFL is one of the toughest leagues in professional sports. Making a roster is difficult. Staying in the league year after year is even harder. Moore has managed to continue finding opportunities because coaches trust him. They know what they're getting. He understands special teams. He understands preparation. He understands how to contribute even without receiving constant targets. That experience can be valuable during camp. Still, another question remains. Where exactly does he fit? Baltimore already has several receivers competing for roster spots. Beyond the names expected to make the team, there are additional players fighting for opportunities every single day. Competition is already intense. Every new signing means another difficult roster decision eventually has to be made. That becomes even more interesting because the Ravens cannot simply continue adding players forever. The roster has limits. Whenever someone comes in, someone else usually has to leave. That corresponding move becomes almost as important as the signing itself. Until everything becomes official, there will continue to be speculation. Once Chris Moore completes the remaining process and officially joins the roster, Baltimore will eventually announce the move that creates space for him. That announcement may answer several questions. Or it may create even more. Looking back at Moore's previous time with Baltimore, fans remember several exciting moments. He wasn't expected to dominate games. He wasn't expected to post huge receiving numbers. Instead, he embraced whatever assignment coaches gave him. Need someone to contribute on special teams? Chris Moore was ready. Need another receiver to step in because injuries affected the lineup? Chris Moore was ready. Need someone capable of making a difficult catch when called upon? Chris Moore was ready. Those kinds of players rarely receive national attention, but championship-caliber teams depend on them. Every successful roster needs players willing to perform difficult, less glamorous roles. That description has followed Moore throughout his career. After leaving Baltimore, he continued his NFL journey with other organizations, extending a career many players would envy. Simply remaining in the league for this long speaks volumes about his professionalism. It's never easy. Every season brings younger talent. Every season creates new competition. Yet Moore continues earning opportunities. That says something. Of course, many Ravens fans